Welcome to Beyond the Walls, a podcast for women ready to break barriers and step boldly into their purpose. I'm Kylie, your coach and guide for overcoming fear, silencing self-doubt, and building a life of courage and connection. Whether faith is your anchor or you're still trying to figure it out, this is a space for growth, authenticity, and transformation. Subscribe now, and let's start building the courage to be seen, heard, and unstoppable. This is Beyond the Walls, where your purpose begins. Welcome to episode 4 of this 4-part series. If you haven't gotten a chance to go back and listen to the first 3, I definitely encourage you to go do so. But today, what I want to share with you is being able to cast a vision for you of what living, seen, and free could look like, and most importantly, feel like. Because if you're being really honest with yourself, it doesn't feel good to hide. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel comfortable. It might feel more comfortable than what coming into the light might look like. But if we're really honest with ourselves, the relationship we're trying to repair, to restore, to protect, it's not going to really feel as good as we want it to, or to be as vulnerable as we want it to, until there is honest, open communication. And that takes vulnerability, not perfection, not being never hiding again. It doesn't mean you just have to change everything about you. It honestly means a little bit more of just accepting who you are and who you aren't, and being able to accept others for who they are and who they aren't, and then make a commitment to continue to strive to choose each other. So in these other parts that we talked about, right, we talked about naming why you're hiding, taking a look at where did it maybe start and why was it that way? What have we been making it mean about ourselves and about other people? You've hopefully taken some small steps to start owning those things and making decisions to start changing them, to create new whys, to make new decisions for who you are today, and not that little kid who made these decisions, or the person of you 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And so what is it going to look like now that you're on this journey to continue to become this new person, to continue to be somebody who just is honest? This isn't a one-time experience. It's not a one and done, but it's a lifestyle. It's a commitment. It's a way of being in your world, in your heart, in your thoughts, and in your actions. Boy, living honestly is not about saying everything all the time, okay? It's not about being brutally transparent. It's not about bleeding your wounds over everybody or needing to have them bleed all over you to be honest. But it is an honesty within yourself, whether you need to address it between you and God, or you and other people. It's being able to consider and to make a decision and to even put words to those actions, to know what are you doing and why are you doing it. I had ChatGTP help me put together a little day in the life of what it looks like and feels like to live seen and free. I'm not really a great writer, I can tell you that. And this comes from at a really vulnerable time for me. As much as I've grown in my own personal confidence and security in who I am, I want you to know that the journey is never over. I'm tearing up now because, gosh, I'm the most in front of people that I've ever been in my life. I'm living out loud as much as I ever have in a personal way. I think that's where it started, right? With my relationships one-on-one in real life. But it's a whole nother level here on social media and on this podcast of sharing my life with people that I don't even know. I don't even know who's listening to this episode right now, or the impact that it may or may not have. I am at my heaviest I've ever been. I am at my oldest. I am the wrinkliest. For all intents and purposes, right? I feel the most unattractive. I feel completely unqualified and not professional enough to be doing what I'm doing. And yet I'm staying in it because my why has changed. It is no longer about those things, and it is not what defines me. That is not where my value comes from or my worth comes from. And I want to honor myself and to show up in a way that I can feel secure and I accept myself, all my flaws, all the things that I am and am not. And to still make a difference, to choose to believe that if you're listening to this, it's not because I'm the most attractive person. It's not because I'm whatever it is that I am or am not, right? I'm faced with having little support. So outside of my own like physical insecurities, the people in my world right now cannot dictate even whether or not I should or should not be doing what I'm doing. I have to be my own cheerleader. I have to believe it for myself. And if you've gotten your free guide that's in the show notes, I hope that you see that that's point 3 in the guide. That it doesn't matter whether other people are cheerleading me on or not, whether or not they're supporting me. If I don't believe it for myself, it won't matter. That I can tell you from personal experience, the people that I want cheerleading from right now in my life are the quietest right now. And I'm choosing to believe that it's not because it's not true, but because they are doing their best and they're giving what they can. They may not be for me, and I believe that they are, that they're not able to share with me, to show up for me, to do what I'm wanting them to do, to prove it. And so even in the face of feeling unsupported, of feeling the most insecure, it is not a reason to give up. It's not a reason to hide. It's just an aspect to it, right? It's just a thought, a conversation, a scenario in which I need to mind my mind. And I have to take ownership of my choices and why I'm going to do something or not do something. That is what other people's approval is just icing on the cake looks like. And so right now, what I want to do is I want to read to you what Chat put together for me and for us, a beautiful description of what it used to look like and what it can look like now. A day in the life of living seen and free. There was a time when walking into a room felt like walking into judgment. Not from others, at least not always, but from myself. I would scan faces, read into body language, overanalyze every word I said or didn't say. I was so afraid of being too much, too quiet, too emotional, or somehow just wrong. I'd either hold back completely or overperform, trying to earn my place. But now, more and more, I'm learning to let that go. I walk into rooms without assuming everyone is waiting to criticize me. I don't judge myself harshly, and I don't assume the worst about others either. People are free to accept me or not, but that no longer determines whether or not I show up. Their approval or discomfort is not my compass anymore. I can raise my hand. I can ask the question. I can share the story. I can say, actually, I'd rather meet here, or that doesn't work for me, and not feel like I've done something wrong. I can send the invitation, offer the help, show up first, not to be impressive or to prove that I'm enough, but because I know I'm already loved, already secure, already held. And from that place of love, I get to be love. I get to serve, speak up, and lead, not from striving, but from wholeness. It's okay if not everyone responds the way I had hoped. It's okay if someone pulls back. I don't need to push them away first to protect myself. I remain open, receptive, kind. Because rejection no longer defines me and connection no longer frightens me. Some days I still catch myself hiding, but more and more I'm living honest. I'm at peace in my own presence. I don't have to disappear or dominate. I just get to be seen, steady, free. I love that so much. And I hope that it resonates with you. I want you to think about as you were listening to that, and feel free to even rewind it and hear it again and connect with the parts that resonate with you the most. How have you been showing up in all of that fear, the anxiety, honestly, in its harshest way, it's such a self-centered way to live. When we're either super arrogant because we think we are the best thing since sliced bread, or we think we're the worst thing on the planet and are worthy of nothing. Both extremes are selfish and harmful, and they are not honest and free. And so where do you see the baby steps for you to move forward into being honest and being seen and being heard? Can you imagine waking up and going into the world every day feeling that way? Feeling like I'm not just consumed with the what ifs and the judgment and the criticism. Can you imagine the weight off your shoulders if we just silenced that awful voice, silence that awful judgment, silence that awful fear, because it hasn't even happened yet. We create that kind of an environment when we go in expecting to receive that. And so I hope that you hear that if you are so consumed, if that describes you so much for how you're living today, that the very first step is to just silence it. You don't have to start believing the opposite extreme. You don't have to go in. The answer is not to think they're going to think I'm the best and they just love everything about me and it's going to be fantastic and everything's just going to be worry-free, because that's not reality either. We're still going to be plagued, right? You hear me in all of the ways that I've grown in my security and my confidence. Every day I have to make a choice still. And an even stronger choice when we actually do get those naysayers, because those naysayers will come. People will disappoint us. They will be selfish at times. They will be insecure and respond to us in ways that really says more about them than it does about us. But it's so hard at times to keep those things separate. But that is what is in your control. That is what is in your power. It is your right to do those things. And if you have found that in this time of getting curious and recognizing these walls, these fears, these assumptions, and these judgments, if you have not given the time to really consider what role God plays in that, I encourage you to reach out and let's talk about it. Because it is where the most security and confidence comes from. It is the only thing that brings true security and confidence. It is the only stable, non-moving, consistent, solid place to land. The strongest foundation. God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And in the best way. I need him to be that strong anchor because I am not enough to be my own anchor. And the other people around me are like quicksand. They are even worse at being our anchor than we are for ourselves. So at the very least, get your anchor out of the other people. They are the most unstable and the most hurtful and the most challenging. Get them out of their hands. Get that power back. But the very best place it can go is back into God's hands. And out of that, we get to heal ourselves, accept ourselves, to be seen and be heard and to be worthy. And out of that strength, out of that love, out of that security, we get to pour into others. We get to serve other people first. We get to show them what love looks like. And in turn, we get to receive love. Because without that secure foundation, even receiving their love feels just as scary and unstable as feeling their rejection and their judgment. It's the only way we can sustain their instability. And it's the only way for them to sustain our instability. So as we close out here, I want to give you some questions that you can reflect on this week. I want you to think for yourself about where are you still shrinking, overthinking, or hiding? And what's one small way that you can show up more honestly this week? What do you notice yourself assuming others are judging you about? Can you choose to believe something kinder and show up anyway? Can you show up anyway? And lastly, are you serving or helping people out of performance, or is it out of security? What would it feel like to love others from a place of already being loved? And honestly, right, I got a little choked up earlier just thinking about, gosh, all the reasons I can show up insecurely, all the reasons I'm not qualified to be here. But those are not my reasons why I actually show up. The truth has to come from a completely different place than that. It makes it harder the more I give power to those thoughts, but it is not going to stop me. And that's where you have the opportunity as well. That in this space is that the more we can at least just face it and acknowledge that truth to ourselves, to know what it is that we're up against, what it is that we're holding ourselves hostage to. And then we get to make a decision if that's a good enough reason to stop, if that's a good enough reason to move on, if it's a good enough reason to cut relationships off. What else could be possible? What else do you want to be true? What would you tell a good friend if the roles were reversed? So I encourage you today, wherever you are, whatever season you're in, to face those walls that are in your way and choose to believe that there is a life beyond them that is immeasurably more than you could ask or imagine. And I am here for you to help you do that. You do not have to do it alone. I love you. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And I am so excited to see, hear about, to participate in that transformation for you, to go and to live seen and free. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Walls. If this episode inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend and leave a review. Your support helps more women step into their courage and purpose. Ready for more? Subscribe to the podcast and contact me. You can find me at beyondthewallspodcast.com. Reach out for coaching, more resources, and all the support you could need. Remember, breaking through the walls is just the beginning. Your best life is waiting.